The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and also on the municipal website.
Call to the base, again.
Meeting will come to order. Would you please stand for the flag salute? Mrs. Schultz, would you lead us in the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance.
I'm going to pledge it.
Come on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, for liberty and justice for all.
I think she doesn't understand when she can speak.
Mrs. Schultz?
Yes.
It's not public comment now. We'll let you know when you can speak.
2 minutes. You've
Okay.
got to wait 2 minutes.
Now?
Now,
2 minutes.
Should I sit?
sit over there next to
And
Mr.
let her
Byrne.
know when she can come up.
Who's on first? Would you call the roll, please? Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Blumberg? Here.
Here.
What is your pleasure regarding the minutes of our August 1st meetings?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
And I second?
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Is there any public comment? Mrs. Schultz, public comment. I'm sorry, Mrs. Schultz, your time is up.
No. My name is Annette Schultz, and I live in Margate on Osborne Avenue. Becker. Recently you commented that in March you had asked the DEP and the Army Corps several questions that to date still have not been answered. You sounded frustrated at the lack of answers. As a city leader, you must be concerned about the lack of response and information. I hope you will refrain from voting for any referendum based on the fact that you yourself are frustrated by the lack of answers. What are your thoughts about making residents vote on something that not even their elected officials completely understand?
I'm sorry, you talking to me? I'm sorry.
Well, should I give you my next question and then you can answer both?
Well, repeat your first question, please.
Mayor Becker,
That's me.
recently you commented that in March you had asked the DEP and the Army Corps several questions that to date still have not been answered. You sounded frustrated at the lack of answers. As a city leader, you must be concerned about the lack of response and information. I hope you will refrain from voting for any referendum based on the fact that you yourself are frustrated by the lack of answers.
Right.
What are your thoughts about making residents vote on something that not even their elected officials completely understand?
To bring everybody up to date, within the last couple days, the Corps sent me those answers. They're being copied, and they will be put out here for everybody's to read them at the 6:30 meeting. Okay?
Second.
We do have that information, Mrs. Schultz.
Mayor Becker, you were recently quoted in the newspaper saying that you were concerned about the lack of information that you have regarding the project. It seems like the commission is putting the cart before the horse by voting to have a referendum before you know all the facts. If you vote for a referendum, whether binding or not, the potential exists that the public won't have all the facts either and could vote yes. Meanwhile, you could learn information that makes your opinion an absolute no. How will you explain that to voters without looking short-sighted on this?
The referendum that we're proposing is to ask the public their opinion, yes or no, on dunes, okay? On the beach replenishment. If the voters vote no, the issue is dead. If the voters vote yes, that will give the Margate government the permission to move forward and gather whatever information we need at that point. So yes, we don't have the information now. I've said that from day one. Entirely separate issue, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is this a tag team?
Yeah, that's what they say. Okay, my question is,
We'll need your name and
Your
address.
name and address, please.
Carol Arman, 4 Dolphin Drive. Mayor Becker and Commissioner Blumberg, you have both stated publicly that you have concerns that are unanswered. I realize that the Army Corps of Engineers and the DEP are making a presentation about the project tonight. But will you please share with us what your current concerns are and unanswered questions?
I had a lot of questions answered. I think there are 8 or 9 of them that you'll have access to. There are unanswered questions as to the cost, questions which we don't have the luxury of obtaining now, Carol, because we have to get this to referendum. Has to be at the clerk's office tomorrow.
Do you have any?
Yeah, and I stated it earlier at the 4 o'clock meeting, I have many concerns related to the project. I have concerns related to the referendum question as they're written now. I don't think we've given the voters enough information so that we can get a reasonable yes, even a reasonable yes or no. I don't think that the question is defined enough, and I think that that's because we don't have information from the DEP and the Corps, and questions that Mike asked that are recently answered, I haven't been privy to. I think that this is premature. We're under a deadline. If we were going to ask the people to vote, my druthers would be that we not ask the people to vote at this time, that we wait, and then we could hold a special election if we determine that we wanted to move forward. I have concerns related to the cost of the project. I have concerns related to the design of the project. I have concerns related to the maintenance of these dunes and how they're going to be maintained. I have concerns about how they're going to affect our quality of life. I have concerns related to the idea that these dunes are going to really offer us any great value for the price that we're going to pay, and not just the financial price. I have concerns that many of the people that I've spoken to that live on the beach block, whose these dunes are supposedly going to protect, don't want them. So I question myself, why am I asking people to vote for something, the entire city to vote for something that's going to protect a select few who really don't seem to want these dunes and the minimal amount of protection that they have. So that's a concern that I have. And finally, I want to say that I wish that we didn't have to go through this in this fashion.
Okay, I have one other question. Mike, you recently suggested a non-binding referendum. Per Mayor Reel, he said you clearly explained to him at the lifeguard races that the referendum asked the public whether or not the administration should pursue additional information about the project. 2 of the proposed questions clearly do not do that. Rather, they ask the voters if they want the project. Could you, explain this and stick to your word? And if not, why are you willing to subject the city residents to 2 divisive referendums on the same question, one binding and one non-binding?
Carol, we're under a deadline for number 1, of course, we've already spoken about for the referendum. It doesn't cost anything, so it's not a costly thing. For us to get on this referendum, it doesn't cost anything. As long as we get it in tomorrow, we're fine. If we have to have another special election, that's not real expensive. I mean, Tom, $15,000? $7,000 for an election, at which point we will be better prepared. We'll have much more information. I haven't made up my mind yet. Everybody thinks that I'm one way or the other. I haven't. I have to tell you, I don't have the information. But we have to go forward with this. We have to meet that tomorrow's deadline. And if we have to spend $7,000 for another election where we will have the information and people will have input, then I'm okay with that.
I just hope that people get information, because most people, as you can see, really have no idea of what's going on, and people just think they're almost like sheep.
Tonight is the first meeting in a series of meetings in which information on both sides will be given to the public.
Because what I hear from people is the dunes will protect the island. Well, I mean, why do you say that? I ask because the Army Corps of Engineers said that it will.
Well, they'll be here tonight. Okay, anyone else?
Becker, Commission. Voting for the...
Excuse me, name and address again,
I'm
please.
sorry, Steve Davidson, 209 North Essex Avenue. So the questions that you got, if you don't have get the responses you're happy with, the questions you gave the Army Corps, how would you undo this referendum? Would you not go forward with it?
I'm sorry, say it again.
If the questions you got back from the Army don't give you the answers that you're happy with, would you undo the referendum or not go forward with it?
No, I am committed to going forward with it. We have those answers, you'll have them.
And you'd be satisfied with them then? Huh?
I didn't say that, I said I had the answers.
Okay, so...
Okay, I have a lot more information than we had 3 days ago.
So
Absolutely.
then, okay. So the former commission, Mayor Ross, Grimm, and Markowski, they voted on this ordinance, that these big 50-year contracts, we would clearly get the vote on, right? And then wouldn't that be the law that we have to vote on that according to that law that they passed?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what, so that's the binding election that I'm talking about.
That's the one that, absolutely. If this moves forward, at some point, the people will have a vote.
On a contract.
Binding referendum.
On the contract.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I'm hoping for. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Dan Gottlieb, 407 North Nassau. Mayor and Commissioners, my understanding is that the aforementioned ordinance that Mr. Davidson just referenced requires you to vote yes on an ordinance to specifically join the Army Corps contract. This logically requires you to know what you are signing before any binding referendum is initiated. How can you, as our elected leaders, risk putting this up to any type of referendum or even scheduling one without first completing all the homework? It doesn't seem like we have all the answers yet. And I know you said you have them, but we don't.
We have never said we have all the information, Dan. We have to vote to get this on the ballot before the Corps of Engineers meetings. We're under the gun here. We all acknowledge that. Okay? You will have that information tonight, as I said before. Tonight will be the first meeting, and you and your side have requested this building for meetings, right? Everybody should attend as many meetings as you possibly can, get as much information as you can. I personally, I don't have enough information to make that decision today. I'll be right honest with you. I'm not professing one side or the other until I get more information.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Sharon Simon, I'm a little concerned. You said you got answers from the DEP and the Army Corps, and we're getting copies of them. Did you give copies to the other commissioners?
They were just run off today. I did not.
So you got these answers that would help them make a decision about going forward with this referendum that were important and key, and you choose not to
They
copy
will,
them.
we will all get them, we will all get them at the same time, that is correct.
You already got them. Okay.
Pardon?
Also, with all this talk about, you know, you want to hear what the people think, you want to hear what the people
Did you get
think.
a copy of that?
I have not seen them yet.
Want to hear what the people think, and yet the people that have the most vested interest are the summer people, and they don't vote. And so how are you going to get that voice? That's an important voice. And having it, whether it's non-binding or binding, you're not getting that voice. I also understand Solicitor Abbott is...
I don't agree with you, Sharon. I know people...
It's not whether they agree or not, they're not voting.
The people don't vote, but they get a voice, just as they have here tonight, and at any other meeting, and at any place or time that they wanted to, you know, acknowledge what their feelings are.
So if we had like a petition, and we had people, summer people sign it, whether they're for or against, that could be added to your decision-making when you get the answers to the non-binding referendum. Would that be something you would entertain?
I don't think that's legal, is it?
Yeah, it's legal. You can look at votes. It's non-binding. They can't vote, but they can do it by petition. We can discuss that later.
Okay.
Anyway,
You'll explain that one to me.
excuse me?
You'll explain that to me sometime.
I'll explain it to you.
I would like you to.
I'm sure Solicitor Abbott could explain it to you. It's not that hard. Solicitor Abbott, speaking of Solicitor Abbott, sent letters to the beach block owners regarding the easements, and the letter was signed. So I have a question for you as well as the commissioners. Which of you have read Margate's existing ordinance regarding this project? Have any of you?
I have not.
No?
I have not.
Have you, Commissioner Darby? Okay. So how do you justify sending that letter, given the ordinance, that the ordinance says you shouldn't be pursuing any intent in a property unless an ordinance authorizing it has been passed?
I'll answer. Want me to answer?
Would you please?
I don't interpret it that way. That was an initial letter that the DEP sent us down, a form letter to measure the sentiment of the oceanfront property owners to see if they would be willing to sign these easements, which are a prerequisite of entering the cooperative agreement. So we're not spending any money. We're not condemning the properties. We're not engaging in negotiations to buy them. But if they're willing to give it to us for free, that's different.
And you had stated before, if we did not get the easements, the project's off. Is that still correct?
Shall I answer, Mayor?
Please.
That is what we have been told, but that will be a question we'll go over again tonight, that if we do not have these easements signed off by the various people who have rights to the beach, then they will not go forward.
And you also said in the last commission meeting that you were going to try to get the Army Corps or the DEP, I'm not sure which, to pay for the legal costs for these easements, let them bear the expense, not Margate. Is that something
Well,
you're pursuing?
that would be the optimum result if they would pick up the expense.
So
I don't believe they will, though.
Are we going to pursue that? Have we indicated to them that that's what we're going to
I would
do?
imagine these three elected officials, if we go that route, we'll ask them if they can help contribute. Now, they did say they would contribute, but I didn't hear them say they'd file court actions or anything else like that. I don't know where that stands right now.
It would be great to have that in writing, one way or the other, before it goes to vote, so we know what we're voting on. Would you agree that the bulk of the damage in Margate occurred from flooding on the north side, not the beach block? I think we've all agreed with that. With the possible exception of sand removal, which the city may have unintentionally created, exacerbated the problem by piling sand all along the bulkhead instead of just in front of the scuppers?
That seems to be probable.
What's probable? Could you be
That
clear? You're the
piling
mayor.
of the sand had no good result at all.
So what the city did had no good result.
Yeah, I think.
Is there a reason why we did it?
Pardon me?
Is there a reason why we did that if it had no good result?
It was my understanding it was to protect the bulkheads.
And who did you get that understanding from?
Pardon me?
Who did you get that understanding from?
Department, is that not correct?
Was that Commissioner Toddy who gave you that understanding?
No, I didn't. Pardon me?
About the sand?
About the sand on the bulkheads. You told me.
Yeah.
Hold on, please.
Yeah, I had told the mayor before that in past storms over the last 20, 30, 40 years, when we knew a storm was coming, the sand was piled up at the bulkheads to block the street end scuppers where the rainwater drains out. And it was successful for a lot of smaller storms, small nor'easters. So it did work. Unfortunately, when it was done this time, didn't anticipate the category hurricane, so it did not work. It backfired.
Thank you. So thank you. If the bulk of the property damage, I'm almost done, was on the north side and unrelated, this is important, and you didn't cut anybody else
You've had
off.
more than 3 minutes, Sharon.
Okay, and unrelated to Waiver Sand, why was the letter,
She can
Sharon.
ask at the 6:30 meeting.
The beach club owner said most of the devastation from Hurricane Sandy occurred where the news did not exist. Well, you're saying it was a letter from, like a form letter. Will the news stop the Baywater?
Chief, are you here?
So that.
He's right over there at the door.
They can hear, which is
Get her out of here.
not clear. Anyways, either should we send a form letter, should we work on that?
Thank you.
Everybody else off, shoot, not you.
I think I can say what's necessary in 3 minutes or less. Mayor, you want us to sign on to a pig in a poke. And the solicitor will tell you that any contract that is so ambiguous, so vague, so arbitrary, would be void ab initio. Is that not correct, solicitor?
May I answer, Mayor? I'll be brief.
Is this not the
Be
same
brief.
thing that you're
Well,
gonna just chew your butt out like that?
Okay. All I can say is this, John. Atlantic City signed it, Brigantine signed it, Avalon signed it, Ocean City signed it, Ventnor signed it, Sea Isle City signed it, Cape May signed it, and about 50 other cities in this state have already signed that contract. So when you get up here and pontificate and put out a lot of nonsense, we should have a serious discussion on this. Yes, the contract has some ambiguities, but that's a contract that's been approved by, I believe it's an area of 50 municipalities, that template, that form.
But it isn't,
I haven't done anything wrong, the city's not done anything wrong, nothing unethical, as you claimed in the last meeting. It's a bunch of nonsense, John. Stick
isn't
with
it
the facts.
incumbent upon you to resolve the ambiguities before going forward?
That's what we're attempting to do.
And secondly, solicitor, would you apprise the mayor that since this will be a non-binding referendum, that for people who are not year-round residents, they could weigh in through the services of the American Arbitration Association to get a full vote, because the dirty little secret is that the year-rounders are less than a third, and that the other two-thirds carry the bulk of the taxes. They're being whacked over the head $40,000, $50,000 a year, and they're getting very little for it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else?
Mayor, can I just request, because of time, respectfully, if I could ask our residents to, if it's related to the Absecon Island Shore Protection Project, you certainly can make your comments to us, but it's probably more applicable or to ask the DEP and the Army Corps when they are here at 6:30.
State your name and address.
Stan Silverman, 108 South Douglas, Beach Block, Third House Inn. I'm a summer guy, but I spend a lot of time here during the rest of the year. I've gone on record with letters to both commissioners and to the mayor that I fully support the dunes, and I'll tell you why. Commissioner Blumberg, I came in when you were saying that the summer people don't, or the beach people don't support it. That's not what I hear. All my friends who are on beach blocks support it. And the reason is this. We lucked out. We absolutely lucked out. If this storm would have hit 30 miles or 50 miles to the south, we would have had the damage that Long Beach Island had, that some of those towns had up north of Long Beach Island.
They're just getting back. They're just getting back, so we lucked out. I'm willing to give up my views. I got great views. I'm willing to give them up. I pay a lot of taxes. I want the dunes to protect my house, to protect your house, and to protect this city. Because if we got a Category 2 or 3 hurricane, God knows what this place would look like if it hit 30 miles to our south. So I would ask you to consider my views and the views of people that are directly impacted, the people that are on Beach Block. Our houses would have been devastated had that storm hit south of us. Absolutely devastated. A lot of comments were made that we need a lot more information. I absolutely agree. I want to know that the Army Corps of Engineers say that the dune system's going to work. I've heard comments that the dunes get washed away. Well, the dunes at Claremont and Clarendon didn't get washed away. They're still there. They're only 2 blocks from me. So let's get the data, let's look at this thing rationally, and let's consider what happens when the storm hits 30 to 50 miles to our south. This town would just be like Ortley Beach. Those people are just getting in right now, and most of those houses were washed away.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Vaughn Hill, 6 North Mansfield. I would recommend that the prior speaker ask that question to the Army Corps, because my understanding is that if we were up there, the dunes wouldn't have done anything. But this is not about being pro or against dunes. I'm shocked to hear that none of our 3 commissioners read our existing ordinance on this entire process. I'm shocked, okay? I'm also disappointed to hear our counselor, our city council, say that because we're asking for it for free doesn't mean we're asking for an interest in the property. You know what that ordinance says. It says that we're not supposed to ask for any interest in the property. Now, with that said, I'm really off the script here, and I apologize, folks, but what you guys are seeing right now, this is a public session. This is not the Army Corps DEP meeting. They're about to vote on whether they send this city through a non-binding referendum. If the non-binding referendum is approved, we then have to go through a binding referendum. This whole community is going to fight this twice unless these guys step up and follow the process. The process in the ordinance that none of them have read, but the solicitor has, says that this commission is supposed to basically do their homework, vote yes or no that they're going to move forward with the contract, and then make us vote on a binding referendum. That's not what they're voting on here. What they're saying here is they want us to vote on a non-binding referendum so they can duck and cover, and then they're going to put us through it a second time in a binding referendum. And here's the referendum. It's up here that they want you to sign. It says that in the interpretive statement, the initial placement of the sand and dune grass has been advised to be free. But what they don't add, and they don't, is that we're going to have to pay for the cost of expending the pier. They've just made it enough to pay for the cost of expending. That's not true. Oh, bear with me. So, and they're going to pay for the cost of doing some type of flood remediation. Now, if that's extending 4 outfall pipes, which I doubt it is, or whether it's pushing the dunes further down the beach, which I suspect it is, those things need to be mentioned. Okay? This is asking you if you want to vote yes or no, non-binding, on something that you're not going to have all the information on. Stop there for a minute. In 2001, this commission went through this. In my tenure, in 2007, I believe, 6, we went through this. Both commissions voted no. The commission prior to mine voted to put in this ordinance that says these guys got to vote yes on a binding ordinance, on an ordinance to go to contract before it gets put in your lap. They're abdicating their leadership. I'm not sure why. Final points for you. The cost for Ventnor right now currently is projected at $7.4 million to re-nourish an existing project. Because of the unusual circumstances, they don't have to pay their 9%. If they did, it would cost them $630,000 this year, assuming that you nourish every 4 years. And this contract has 40 years remaining on it. You're talking about $6.3 million of expenses. We had $3 million in cleanup. And what you just heard is that by us, not just covering the scuppers, by us, with good intentions, building sand all along the bulkhead. We put the sand on the beaches that we had to pay $3 million to clean up. Not Sandy, the city of Margate, with the best intentions, but we always just covered the scuppers. Here's the pictures. We covered every bulkhead. We put the sand right up against the bulkhead, and when the waves came, they took the sand right up and over the bulkhead. So I would ask you guys, please, talk to Commissioner Rim, talk to Commissioner McCaskey, honor the process, honor the ordinance. You guys vote yes on a contract, then put it in our laps. It's not fair what you're doing.
We're under the gun here, and I hate to do this because it's against everything I believe in. We're going to have to limit public
I'll be very brief, Mayor.
Last one.
All right, thank you. I just want to comment. Number one, I'm glad all the people, the beach park people, come here and they enjoy the city and they pay the taxes. I think that's great. And I encourage you to move here full-time and change your residence so you can vote. Because this city, there's 150, 200 years of New Jersey law. You have to live in the city where you vote, okay? So that's number one. Number two, I think you're doing the right thing. I encourage you, commissioners, to put this referendum on the ballot so that we can exercise our democratic rights to vote yes or no. And if you don't like it, then campaign against it, okay? Then take all your effort to not have this referendum and use that to block this referendum, which is what you're going to do anyhow, okay? But why can't we vote? So let the people vote and have their say. Maybe people don't want it anyhow. So let's have the vote, and that's it. And I strongly encourage you to pass this resolution right now. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to close public comment, and is there a motion to do that, please?
I'll make a motion that we close public comment.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
I understand that in the interest of time and the fact that we do have the DEP and Corps coming in at 6:30, we're going to have to cut this off now. We have a couple of issues. We have a group here that was scheduled to make a presentation, so I think that we're going to have to, owe them an apology. I need to let everyone in the audience know that at the 6:30 meeting, you will in fact have every ample opportunity to ask your questions and make your comments. So don't feel like you're not going to be able to speak. You're kind of just being put on hold. I think that's what the mayor has decided.
I agree, Commissioner Blumberg, and your questions will be more accurately and answered to from them. So hold your questions, please.
And so I'll vote yes.
You haven't voted yet?
I just voted yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Dalton?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to public comment on resolutions and second reading of ordinances only. Mr. Berger.
Ed Berger, 9402 Amherst Avenue. I have before me the Resolution 162, which is the one that was in question for tonight, and I have some questions regarding the way it's worded. You said earlier that there were 4 different options that you guys were considering for the bottom portion of this resolution. Is the one that you are most in favor of the one that's listed here on the handout?
We've moved it, yeah.
The one that's most in favor?
And again, Mike and Brenda, since we haven't had the opportunity to listen to and/or have public comment on this proposed resolution, I would strongly recommend that we table that until after the 6:30 meeting, where we are legally allowed to vote on that resolution. We will then have the opportunity to modify the language if we want to. I don't think we should vote on it at this meeting. I think we should push it, and this way we can hear what the people have to say. If we want to modify it, we can do it at that time. Is that right, Tom? Can
Yeah,
we do
that's
that?
correct. The problem you're going to have, if you keep this on the agenda now, and you ask for public comment, you have to allow public comment on this resolution. You could be here for another 2 hours before the presentation by the Army Corps and DEP.
Well, that's not an issue for me, but I don't think it's going to change. I mean, I think that it's pretty vague. It's a referendum. I mean, it's non-binding. I wanted binding, but I acquiesced to non-binding.
And that's fine, but what Tom is saying is that legally we're obligated to allow the public to speak and comment on this resolution that we're proposing to vote on in the next 2 minutes. So we're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to move forward with a DEP presentation, or are we going to wait? I think it's just a procedural thing that we're talking about here.
Or are we going to let Mr. Berger finish with his questions?
God, I'm sorry.
That's okay, thank you very much. This would be my comment, and I'll be happy to sit down.
It was my understanding in the last part of the last meeting that we were going to vote on this at this meeting. Am I correct?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Am I correct?
You were going to vote on it at this meeting. Now, if people want to talk for 3 hours so you don't get to vote on it and filibuster it, I guess you'll have to have a special meeting late till 11 o'clock tonight. I don't know what else you can do. You've got ordinances, you've got payroll, you have all kinds of other city business that you have to accomplish now before this night's over. You may have to stay till 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. And or else you can't make payroll. So however you want to do it, but I think you're within your means to get the ordinances, other ordinances adopted now, voted on, and go with the resolutions. You want to hold off on the referendum question to the conclusion of the DEP presentation? You could do that if you want, but that's up to you.
Or if you want to put the comment on this particular issue off to when you're going to make a decision, I'll be more than happy to sit down and make my comments later.
I would let him
However you
make
choose to
his
do it,
comments
Mr.
now
Mayor.
so we can go forward.
Okay. We're going to move forward with that.
Go ahead. Okay, these are my questions. The wording on both the top and bottom of the referendum, I guess, were made deliberately vague in order to provide a tremendous amount of flexibility as you move forward with this. I think that that's a double-edged sword at this point. I believe that because we've done so much more research, and even more will be done as soon as I and the rest of the people sit down and the DEP get up here, that if there are ranges of costs that are available to us, that it's something that should be disclosed to the public in this referendum, in the non-binding referendum. So if we know that there is going to be 4 additional drainage pipes, and the range on the cost of that will be from $200,000 to $700,000, that is something that should be included. If we know that there's going to be a repair program, an ongoing repair program that's going to be footed, the bill's going to be footed by the city taxpayers over the course of time, and we estimate that at X number of man hours, and it's going to cost us $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 in the 3-year period in between when the federal government is willing to rebuild the dunes, that's something that should be in there. That if there is disclosure and information available, that disclosure and information should be available to the people in order for them to make their decision on how they want to vote on not only the non-binding resolution, but the binding resolution as well. Thank you.
Sewell 22 West Drive, very briefly, Resolution 162, Mayor. If we take the words of the solicitor just a few moments ago, it would make the time, expense, and energy of pursuing this referendum foolish. Why don't we get a definitive count on those easements? I don't think the solicitor's going to get 100% cooperation. I don't think he's going to get 10%. So why go forward with the referendum when the easements can't be had? Doesn't that make more sense, Mayor? Can't you send out a few certified or registered letters and get a definitive yes or no? And it would eliminate the need for this referendum in toto. It's the sine qua non, solicitor. So let's get a count on those easements. And if you don't have the count, then don't even bother with the easement. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Joe Zatuni, 312 North Union Avenue, Margate. I'll keep it as brief as possible because I want to talk to the Corps of Army Engineers. In any case, I'm here about this master jetty which I proposed. I might add, I mentioned Sonny McCullough's name in the ad, and I got a call from him the other day. He's very much because it would not only keep the sand on the beach, it'll actually protect the Great Egg Harbor inlet, eliminate these shoals. By the same token, it would eliminate the dunes entirely. If a master jetty was built on the south end of Longport, similar to the one on the south of Brigantine, which is now has a 3,000-foot beach where homes would not be able to be built before, are homes there now on the south end of Brigantine. In any case, the very same thing could happen. I might add, I spoke to Pinky, who had Dave Levinson on the air with him. I spoke to him over the air for quite some time, and he is 100% for it. He's sick and tired of seeing them pump sand and having it washed away during the next Northeastern. Believe me when I tell you, I've been born and raised on this island. I was through the 44 hurricanes. Those sand dunes will not hold up. And that came from Tom Foley, who is in charge of Atlantic City Emergency Management. He himself was a lifeguard, as myself in 1941. Know the island. And by the same token, those sand dunes will nowhere hold up in a 44 hurricane, where the boardwalk and the beaches and everything else were washed away. And in my belief, by the same token, I worked for a music box outfit. That time, we had a route going down to Cape May, Avalon, Sea City. On the ocean side of the A1A, where the ocean drive, there was a sand dune twice the size of the ones you see here. They were washed away completely. We were driving on beach sand, on ocean ground. And one scene that really struck me was on the other side of the road. There was a house completely turned upside down, laying with its roof. This was in 44. This island has not seen a hurricane as yet, like we had in 44. But sure as God made little green apples, it's sure to come. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's up to you and other mayors like you to talk to us, the Corps of Engineers, and try to sway them. So Senator Clemens said.
Thank you very much, Joe. Wait a minute. Sit down. We have we made a little change. We have decided that we will take public comment on everything up to item Resolution 161 in the order, hopefully, get some work done. We will then vote later on the dune issue, Resolution 162. So if anyone has any comment on ordinances, second reading, or resolutions, on a subject other than that, now's your time.
Hi, Linda Gockler, 120 North Lancaster Avenue. I know you've just made a decision, but I believe that everybody that walked into this room tonight felt that we were going to receive a report from the Army engineers, and I think it's very disappointing that we don't get to that now.
That's what we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to close?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Mr. Hilbert?
We have the second reading of Ordinance 16, establishing an energy and natural gas aggregation program.
Can I comment? I am going to make a motion that we approve this. Mr. Fish is here with CUC, John Fish, and he was going to do a 10-minute presentation, but I'm sure you're all mostly here to hear about this shore protection project. So I would vote yes to move forward, and then these gentlemen are going to be here over a series of a few times to educate the residents on what we're working with about 8 other municipalities on. So I would say yay, and then let them come back at a later time. So Mayor, Commissioner Blumberg? What do you?
Well, you know how I feel about this, so I'm prepared to vote positively at this. So,
Tom, I don't want to vote this down, but I would like to make a motion, if I can, that we table it.
Well, there's a motion on the floor right now to adopt it, so that would die for lack of a second, and then we would need another motion to table it.
I'm not listening.
No, you're tabling it.
Yeah, okay, I think it's better.
Okay, so I need a motion to table it.
I'll make that motion that we table ordinance 16.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes. No.
Okay. Ordinance 2013-17, it's amending 2013-1 with the new FEMA flood map.
I'll make a motion, we accept that.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-18, amending Chapter 221, recycling.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 13-19, I'm sorry, yes, no, 19, it's amending Chapter 257-15, vehicles and traffic for handicap parking.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
And we have the introduction of ordinance 20, amending Chapter 257-35 for prohibited parking loading zone at Jefferson Avenue. Second reading is September the 5th at 5
I'll make
p.m.
that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 158, authorized payment of claims and payroll.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Taube?
Yes.
159, authorizes tax lien redemption, certificate 11-8, $24,364.72.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 160 rescinds Resolution 157, authorizing change order number 2 to S&M Construction.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 161 now authorizes change order number 2 for the Beach Stair repairs to S&M Construction.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
And we're going to hold 162?
Do you need a motion for that?
Yeah, let's make a motion to table that.
I'll make a motion that we table 162 until the 6:30 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg? Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Yes.
Is all business being accomplished, is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
For the public, we are going to take a very short break. Tom, will you get DEP in there?
Yes. The DEP and Army Corps reps here.